There are professions that show their work in obvious ways.
A bridge that stands, a building that rises, a diagnosis that heals. They're the kind of roles we've grown up admiring: engineers and doctors, solving problems that matter. But even these bedrock professions aren't standing still. The world is shifting around them, with new materials, new technologies, new pressures, and with that, expectations are rising too. In this episode of Management Voice, the audio edition, we pause to look at two fields that quite literally build and protect our lives: engineering and medicine. What does it mean to practice these professions today? To stay skilled, ethical, and still human in a system that keeps evolving?
Let's find out.
Engineering is everywhere. In the spaces we occupy, the materials we trust, and the systems we no longer think about until they fail. But, as engineer V. R. U. Menon shows us, the profession behind all this is in the middle of a quiet upheaval. Today's engineer operates in a world of flux. The materials are smarter, the timelines tighter, and the expectations global. Homes have become multifunctional. Post-pandemic, we want spaces that double up as offices, accommodate home deliveries, support smart appliances, and still feel personal. A layout now reflects lifestyle. Design follows use, not doctrine. And the shift doesn't stop at the drawing board. In cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, we see what happens when finance and determination meet unbounded technical capacity. Palm Jumeirah, land reclaimed and carved into luxury. Al Jada Smart City, wired for control and sustainability. Zayed Museum, rising in steel arcs inspired by falcon wings. Even ideas like the underwater bullet train from Mumbai to Dubai, once dismissed as pipe dreams, are now topics of genuine structural planning. What makes this possible? Machines that model stress before a trench is dug, soil stabilization chemicals, CAD platforms that simulate 60-floor towers before steel is ordered, 3D printed facades, factory-finished kitchens, and buildings that rise, quite literally, on autopilot. One Abu Dhabi tower, he notes, was constructed in just 12 days. No cement, no on-site curing. Just modular components delivered and assembled, like giant engineering Lego. Yet, amid all this advancement, he pauses. He turns not forward, but back. To Ellora's Kailasa temple, carved top-down from a single rock. He talks about temples that still stand, precise, balanced, unmoved by centuries. No smart tools, no simulation software, just vision and silence, and stone. He doesn't romanticize the past, nor does he resist the future. He simply reminds us, we are building faster, we are building higher. But the greatest engineering is still not what we construct, but what we imagine. Because the profession, like the structures it creates, must always adapt. But behind it all, it remains powered by the same thing: a mind that dares, and hands that follow. Doctors at the Crossroads of Change by Dr. Pavan Madhusudan. Few professions carry the emotional weight of medicine. For centuries, it has stood on the pillars of service, ethics, and trust. But today, as Dr. Pavan writes, the reality of being a doctor, especially in Kerala, is increasingly defined not by patients alone, but by systems, scrutiny, and pressure from all sides. At the center of this shift is the rise of corporate healthcare. It has brought improved infrastructure and wider access. But it has also changed the equation. Where doctors once led with clinical judgment, many now find themselves navigating administrative oversight, performance targets, and decision-making shaped by non-medical management. The focus has tilted from care to metrics. Then there's regulation, The Clinical Establishments Act, intended to standardize quality and transparency, has ended up creating an onerous compliance load, especially for small and mid-sized practitioners. With ambiguous guidelines and harsh penalties, it's less a tool for improvement and more a source of anxiety. And overlaying all of this is the insurance layer, which increasingly governs how and when a patient receives care. Doctors today must align their decisions with policy approvals, fixed packages, and a rising stack of paperwork, often in real time and under stress. What once was a doctor-patient conversation is now a triangle: medical need, cost approval, and available time. It's no surprise then that the profession is under strain. Burnout is rising, legal action is more frequent, and in some cases, physical safety is at risk, especially in emergency care. Dr. Pavan notes that many young doctors are now choosing to move abroad, not just for money, but for predictability, dignity, and room to practice responsibly. But this isn't a call to retreat. Instead, it's a call to engage, to understand systems, not just symptoms, to demand reform that's proportionate, not punitive, to preserve medical ethics, while also learning how to work within regulated structures. Because the future of medicine, he suggests, will belong not just to the most skilled, but to those who can balance compassion with system fluency. And that's where change begins. In this episode, we looked at two professions that carry the weight of society's progress and its expectations. One builds structures that shape the way we live. The other holds the human stories that unfold within them. Both professions, engineering and medicine, are navigating systems in flux, and both remind us that technical skill alone is no longer enough. Adaptability, integrity, and a deeper sense of purpose are what will carry them forward. You've been listening to Management Voice, the audio edition, brought to you by Bath & Beyond, Federal Bank, Leo Group, JMJ Fintech Limited, and Elite Mission Hospital. Join us next time as we continue exploring professions in transition and the values that hold them steady. Until then, stay curious.